RTHK.
Good morning and welcome to Money for Nothing. I'm Brian Curtis. And we'll also be looking at some interesting frontier markets discussion with Douglas Clayton this morning, CEO of Leopard Capital. We thought it a great time to take a look at frontier markets, and so we have Douglas Clayton, CEO of Leopard Capital, with us. Doug, good morning and thanks for coming in.
Good morning.
Yeah, awfully sorry about that snafu the other day when you were in our studios and a remote studio. I didn't realize you were meant to be on Money for Nothing. But it's great. I mean, it's always fun to look at these markets like Cambodia, Myanmar, and Vietnam. Have they also been sort of suffering of late under this increased volatility?
There's some very interesting longer-term things going on which are going to completely transform this region. And I think people are starting to prepare for that. The Greater Mekong sub-region is starting to integrate, and there's going to be tens of billions of dollars poured into infrastructure improvements to connect these countries, particularly Cambodia, Laos, Thailand, and Myanmar.
Do you have to have patience, though? Is it something that could take quite a long period of time?
Well, the AEC, the ASEAN Economic Community, is coming together in 2015, so this is going to be a catalyst. So I think we're at the cusp of some dramatic changes in the region, as well as the recent reforms in Myanmar, which have put that country back onto the map.
Are we talking mostly private investing, or is there a chance to do some public investing?
Well, certainly Thailand, being the by far the most developed country in the region, offers a lot of listed equity plays that many Thai companies will be moving into its neighbors, and they have great growth prospects ahead is when they fully take advantage of that. So is that a good way to play those frontier markets, to go through some of those more enterprising companies in Thailand that are moving in there? That's the more liquid way to play it. In our case, we're creating a private equity fund that will span these four countries and link them together and invest in the cross-border expansion plays.
And where are we in the process of developing, securities markets to the extent that people on the outside could freely invest?
Well, obviously Thailand has a very developed market, but Cambodia and Laos opened their stock exchanges over the last couple of years. There's two listed companies in Laos and one in Cambodia. And Myanmar is working on developing their stock market in 2015. So eventually all these countries will have a domestic stock market, and maybe they'll link them at some point.
And what about that question about volatility? Do you see, more volatility in the frontier markets in Asia? Or do you actually in some ways see that they could be kind of separated off from emerging markets and also the developed markets?
These countries are being driven, especially with the frontier markets, they're being driven by the domestic growth stories, not so much what's happening in the West. So this is the beginning of a long-term secular uptrend. And I think that as a result, the frontier markets offer a safe haven from global volatility. So do you play the infrastructure companies there more than, say, the consumer plays? I think things like financial services, food production, and basic utilities, electricity, and telecoms, these are all high-growth areas. But you can really play almost any sector because you're talking about three countries catching up to its neighbor in almost every sector.
Let me ask a basic question. Is your blood pressure higher now than it was a couple of years ago?
Well, I'm very excited about this opportunity. It's no matter what happens in the world, you can assume that this region is going to unlock its value by arbitraging its cost base across each other's borders. Okay, now not selling for you, but in case people wanted to take part in your fund, is that possible, and how would they find you on the map? Well, they can contact me, but I'm not here to promote my fund. I'm just discussing the region on a broader basis. All right, so they can just Google Leopard Capital and find ways to contact you. Okay, Douglas, thanks very much for joining us here on the phone. Thank you. Doug Clayton, CEO of Leopard Capital.